I
The
we
broadcast is
alive.
live, telling me we are.
We alive. I think so.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, I can see it.
oh, okay. Well, Bobby and I were talking about the movie, and tonight when we were watching the Shining, he and I he pointed it out, but I had noticed it. This is one thing I noticed: the colors of some of these rooms. I was like,
Mm,
that is the most obnoxious color to paint a bathroom. It was like a pea fluorescent green with yellow
yeah,
lining.
yeah,
You know what I'm talking about? And
yeah. When he sees the old hag.
oh yeah, yeah, especially that. And then the orange carpet, and it was
Yeah,
like electric blue carpet in the bedroom with like a pink furniture. It was so. Bobby just said it looked uncomfortable.
there's something about Kubrick though, like whatever you think about him, he was very deliberate. Like nothing went on screen that wasn't supposed to be there. So like that's one thing I was trying to tell you about those continuity errors. Like they're they're on purpose to make you uncomfortable. You'll see in one scene there's a light switch on the wall. They'll cut away, they'll cut back to the same place, the same scene, and now the switch is gone. Like stuff like that
Really?
that will hit you subconsciously. Yeah, there's all kinds of crazy stuff about that movie. I'm super super into it just because of like when I
Well,
watched it
I
when I was young, I didn't really like it and I didn't think it was scary, but I always felt uncomfortable. And now I've
yeah.
grown to appreciate what it is that was making me uncomfortable and how good that movie is and all the theories that make it so open ended. It could were their ghost? Was it in their mind? Was like that Wendy theory I was telling you about. I don't know if you know it, where
I
it's like
know I
she.
don't. I didn't catch that. Explain the Wendy theory to me because I you said that and I was like, what's he talking about?
So like, if you, whenever it's from her point of view, she think the things in the background will change continuity. There's Kool-Aid on the shelf and then it's gone. Stuff like that. And then whenever Danny gets hurt, like when he tells about what happens, he never really lies. Like he says a lady hurt him in the bathroom, a crazy lady. When they're watching the TV, it's not plugged in. Like she's
Huh.
seeing she's seeing things on the screen, but he isn't. When he passes out in his room at the beginning before the hotel, there's something about it's like it's Munchausen for through proxy, and that it's when she talks to Jack, he and after he reacts, it's like he reacts the way you would react to someone who was kind of crazy, like what happened. So and then
Yes.
like, he never killed anybody. That's all her like imagining it. She puts him. That's how he gets out of the freezer because she drags him out. Like it's all weird stuff like that. I don't know that it's true. It's just there's a million theories and they're kind of fun to go down those rabbit holes and just explore
Yeah.
them. I'm not saying any of them are true or not true, but just fun.
No, but I think that you're right because I even pointed that out. I was joking with Bobby because he likes to look into like where movies were filmed, right? So in the
Yeah,
very beginning, they're driving along the mountain, and
yeah,
he's like, that there's that's Colorado
yeah.
or Montana. It was Montana. And I was like, oh, and I was like, let's go, babe, let's live right on that island, and it was on this shot with the little tiny island in the middle of the river, and it was beautiful. And then I guess there was two parts to filming the hotel. One that was built for the movie, and one that was actually a hotel in Mount Hood,
That's
Oregon,
right. Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so there was a scene where the where they're establishing the hotel. You see them
Which is
drive up to it.
impossible. Let's just a little side note. When they do that, it's impossible architecture. There's a whole thing on that. Like when they go into the office, that room shouldn't. It has a window, but it's impossible that window can't exist. Weird stuff like that.
Right.
But anyway, go on, go
Because
on.
it's supposed to be so close to the front of the hotel, it would make the hotel like only 40 feet thick. Yeah, I there was a lot of inconsistency. Okay, so in
But
the
it's on
beginning they
purpose.
pull up. Yeah, it is kind of something that I try to look for inconsistencies. And in the beginning they show the whole hotel. There's no maze. You don't see, and then halfway, parts of the movies, they will open the front door and the maze is practically right there on the doorstep. And
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
like, where was that hedge when they pulled up? And then another thing that Bobby and I were joking about was in the beginning when supposedly he just arrived with the wife and the kid, right?
Yeah.
And the hotel manager walks up and he's like, did you guys get up here okay? And he's asking these, courtesy questions. Did they bring in your luggage? And Jack says, yeah, it's right there. And there's a mound of luggage bigger than their car.
Right. Yeah.
And Bobby was all that fit in a Volkswagen? We were laughing.
Yeah.
It's just like things like that I was just, and you're right. We were kind of giggling at ourselves because we're watching the scenes inside the pantry and we're like, oh, look, Oreos. Ooh, Nilla wafers. Ooh, Tang. And we're naming all the products. And then I was like, well, wait a minute. The Tang was on the other side earlier. Yeah. And just, I do see some things, but I didn't realize it was intentional.
That's the theory, because like Kubrick's very, I don't know what you know about him, but he's very meticulous in his movie making, and like nothing was an accident. So he wouldn't allow, like they say, he wouldn't allow these continuity errors to exist unless he's doing it on purpose. So that's where one theory is like part of it is whenever Jack sees a ghost, there's a mirror in the room. So maybe he's talking to himself. Even in the freezer, it's a shiny door, right? It's a shiny door. So wherever he can see a reflection, is he talking to himself? Maybe there's no ghost. So, and the inconsistencies in the background, maybe it's Wendy who's crazy. Like when she rolls the ball out of room 231. Is Danny playing in the hallway, and does he know that his mom's in the room? The ball rolls out, so he gets it because it's his. Oh, am I still there?
Yeah.
Oh, wait. And
I hear you just fine.
Okay, good. Yeah, so he goes into the room, and that's where he gets hurt. That's where and what does he say? A crazy lady hurts him, and that's where he's hurt on the neck. Was it her? Like, it's just weird stuff like that. And I could go on for an hour talking about this.
That's okay. We got to compare notes sometimes because the stuff we learned about King and Kubrick, one, the conversation that Bobby and I was just having before you and I tried to do the stream the first time, was that Kubrick also made another movie that coincidentally he died after, or was killed right after, and it was a lot of yes. Oh, because
that was all edited. Yeah, I know about it.
Yeah. And because I was telling Bobby, I said, it was the sounds in The Shining that made me anxious the whole time, like the tuba, the high pitched noise, and then
it's done on purpose.
The end when it starts spiraling downhill, you notice like you hear chanting, people chanting, and Bobby starts pointing out that in King's novel, when you read the story, there's a lot that was taken out that is not in the movie.
Like, King hates the adaptation, right? Do you know why he hates it? Because
that's funny. Bobby was just saying, but you tell me.
Well, from what I heard, it's that King hated it because The Shining is a very personal thing to him. It was really like him. Jack is him, and it was the most. Yeah, and it was like feelings he was talking about when he was going through addiction, writer's block, how he felt about his kids, all that. That's where that came from, and he had went on some vacation, and that's where he got the idea. That's the story I've heard. Is that true? I don't know, but Kubrick made it into something else completely. And there's a scene where they're supposed to be in a yellow punch buggy, I think. And there's a scene where they see a crashed vehicle, and
Yeah.
it's a yellow punch buggy, and that's like Kubrick's "fuck you" to King, like saying, "I'm going to change it how I want," kind of thing, and make it
Really?
my own. That's what like. But I've gone down these rabbit holes of YouTube videos on The Shining, so I don't know. I can't verify this is all true. I'm just what I've heard.
No, no. That's kind of where Bobby gets his stuff. Where he,
Yeah.
he and I both. Like, I've seen some YouTube videos, but the one I saw was a little darker as far as when you read the book, and like the symbolisms of the bears, and at one point there's even like the kids wearing an Apollo sweater,
With
and
the moon landing, right? And even the carpet
right.
represents the. And that's another thing. If you look at the pattern, when he stands up, when he's sitting down, the pattern's facing one direction. When he gets up and walks towards the room, the pattern flips, which is
Really?
interesting. Yeah.
I
And
didn't
that pattern
notice
is like the
that.
shape of the launch pad, they say. A lot of people think like maybe it's Kubrick confessing that he faked the landing, that he was part of it with rear screen projection.
Really?
He was the first one to master that, and a lot of people think that he was the one who filmed that in a Hollywood back lot for them.
That
yeah,
that's
I don't
something
know.
I didn't quite hear. The other one that we looked into, like I
Why
said,
would he
was a
wear
little
that
darker.
sweater too? Like he wore that sweater specifically in that scene. Lots of people are like, why would he do that? That's Kubrick talking about it.
Well, that's a good question. I mean, if Kubrick was as meticulous as you say, and I believe it,
Yeah,
of course he's going to have every single detail picked out, including the kids' clothing. I mean,
yeah.
it's every single thing. But there's so many things to that movie that I mean, first of all, Jack Nicholson does this amazing job. We were watching the scene where he
King hated
goes
him
to the
too.
bar.
King hates him because he thinks that he was so famous for Cuckoo's Nest that it gives away the plot that he's gonna, and that he always seems unhinged from the beginning of the movie, and there's no progression. He's always crazy. So King hates
Yeah,
that aspect as well. But sorry,
we
I keep
pointed
cutting you
that
off.
out
Sorry.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember telling Bobby it was the very beginning when he's driving the family up there, and the wife asks something about the Donner Party, and he answers, and she's all kind of like, Jack, like she didn't want the kid to hear it, and
Yeah.
the little kid Danny was all like, "Don't worry, Mom, I saw it on television." And the way the dad's smiling while he's driving, he's
Yeah.
like, "Yeah." He watched it on television, like all sarcastic and weird. And I remember
Yeah.
looking over at my husband, and he's already looking at me, and I'm like, geez, he's psycho from the beginning.
Right.
Yeah. It's just, it's one of those movies that we always watch, at this time of the year. And
Us too,
along
but
with Night of the Living Dead, and, you know, all the scary movies.
Which Night of the Living Dead do you like? The original black and white?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
of course.
How
I
about
didn't
Dawn of
realize
the
there
Dead, though?
was a Dawn of the Dead. Oh, wait. I think isn't what Dawn of the Dead is where they're at the mall, right?
Right. Do you like the original or the remake?
Of Dawn of the Dead?
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a remake of Dawn of the Dead. Oh, now here my husband knows. There's two versions?
There's two versions of Night of the Living Dead. The other one was made like in the late 80s or something.
Oh, I didn't even know that. But obviously we
Dead.
are fans of
Dawn
the original.
Of the Dead. Ask him about Dawn of the Dead. Does he like the original?
Yeah.
Do you Dawn of the Dead? I know we watched the one from
Dawn of the Dead also. We have both of those.
Oh, we have both of those. Take
Which
that.
one does he like?
Which one do you like?
The original Dawn of the Dead.
The original. We're original fans.
I like the original. I like the original Night of the Living Dead but I preferred the remake of Dawn of the Dead.
Well, I don't think I've even seen that, but I remember when we were watching Dawn of the Dead, it got like ridiculously crazy when the biker gang came into the mall.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember Bobby starts laughing, and I'm like, "What's so funny?" And he goes, "You know, I remember watching this with his." He said he remembers watching that movie with his dad, right? And his dad's old fashioned, right? And he said it came to this part where people are just being torn apart and it's chaos, and his dad's like, "Why are we watching this?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, I can kind of see that because I'm at that point right now where, people are sitting at a blood pressure machine and he gets attacked by zombies. Well, what are you doing?"
I like when you say he said that, I'm kind of like in the same boat where I used to just love horror movies, but the last few years I asked myself like, why do I like that? Like, why do I want to see someone get like torn up, or like, why do I want to see this grow someone's skull? Like, and then I go to bed and I feel weird. Like, why do I like that? So I've kind of like not watched as many as I would. I've definitely like I'm more particular about what I watch, I guess. I don't know. It's not that I'm judging, or it's just I don't know. It's just a weird thing in my head, I guess. I don't know.
I get it. I'm the same way. I remember when I was 15 and 16 years old, we would try to act older so we could rent R-rated movies from Blockbuster, but not like the ones with we didn't care for like the sex or anything like that. But my buddy and I, we used to watch one of them. I know we've talked about it before, like Faces of Death.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
We were always like, yeah, that's awesome. But it's like when you're young and you just Friday the 13th and Freddy Krueger. Oh, Freddy Krueger. Oh my God. It's the funniest thing. Last night, Bobby and I were sitting in here. We wanted to sit in the living room, but it was too quiet, and so we had this idea. We put Nightmare on Elm Street on in our bedroom where we have the DVD player and stuff.
Yeah.
And we sat in here and listened to it because we've seen it before, and just the sheer chaos in there. You just hear screaming and
oh yeah, that's weird, but awesome at the same time.
Sorry. Welcome to our world. We just, sometimes it's just fun to set the mood with an old-fashioned movie. And yeah, Night of the Walking Dead, or Night of the Living Dead. We even have the board game.
I didn't know there was one. That's awesome.
Oh, dude, there is. We even have the board game for The Shining.
I didn't know there was one of those either. That's creepy.
I'm gonna send you pictures. I'll make one of the pictures the thumbnail to this video too. It's just nostalgia, I guess. I don't know.
Zombie game that like every time you play it, it's different. The tiles come out differently, and you kind of like have to escape through a city.
Are you talking about Zombicide?
I think it's just called Zombies. I think.
We have a board game called Zombicide, and it does that. You change the game every time if you set up the tiles in a different arrangement.
Maybe it's called Zombicide. It could be. I don't know. But you got to get to a helicopter at the end and get out of there.
That sounds like Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, exactly. You should watch the remake. It's really good. I think the remake's the superior.
Well, apparently we have the DVD. I did not know that. We have a lot of the DVDs. You remember the old black and white movies with the Mummy and Dracula and the Invisible Man?
The Universal Monsters. Yeah, we have that too. We have some with Abbott and Costello as well.
Oh my gosh! No, I don't have that. I just have the collection
Lethal
set.
Wolfman and all those kind. Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
Bela Lugosi. Yeah,
he's the best Dracula.
Yeah, Oh, yeah, because he had that intense stare in his eyes,
And
and then
Boris
yeah.
Karloff and Lon Chaney, they're all like,
Oh
yeah,
my God,
they're the
dude!
best.
I knew there was a reason we got along so well.
I used to be really into the Universal monsters. I even remember as a kid there was, I don't know if you remember this show. It was called Thrill of a Lifetime, and
Oh, I've heard of it. I never watched. I know what
and
you're
you'd like
talking about.
write letters in or something like that, and then they would like do this crazy thing. And then in school as a project, I don't know why I remember this so well, but we had to write to this. I don't know if it ever went to them, but that was the project, right? Right to what would be your thrill of the lifetime. And
Yeah.
I wanted to meet Dracula. That was my big like. I was so into that at the time.
And nobody cared though. You wrote the letter and nobody cared.
Well, no, like there was. It was just a school project. I don't think anyone really were supposed to
Take
care.
it
I just
seriously.
remember being like. I just think it's weird now thinking back, like that's what my thrill was, as I wanted to meet Dracula. It's kind of a weird kid.
I think that's awesome. I don't know. We all like had a different, I
Should have
guess.
been Jesus. I should be like, I want to meet Jesus or something, not evil Dracula.
But that's something you when you mature you tend to look forward to the more important things. You know what I mean? Like now we're talking about it. We would never go out and try to rent gore movies. What do they call them? Slasher movies.
Slashers, yeah, I
Slasher.
guess. Like, there's all kinds of subgenres with horror. There's gore, slasher,
Yeah,
like spiritual. Sometimes it's like a supernatural killer. Sometimes it's just a regular crazy guy.
that's true. That is. But the point is we like to have our movie nights, during this time of year and just
Oh, yeah, no, for sure, it's fun.
I sent you that picture with I made a bowl of popcorn and I made
Yeah,
some homemade salsa tonight. Oh, dude.
pretty good. That
Oh,
pop
it was still nice and piping hot. And
cakes yesterday looked good too. Mm.
what's that?
Those cakes, you sent me a picture of those cakes yesterday?
Oh, funnel cakes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that looks good.
And
Oh.
that was a mistake. That was a big mistake.
Have you
Because
ever had monkey bread?
uh I worry that I might have, but maybe you Canadians call it something different. What describe it? What's lumpy bread?
Not lumpy, monkey.
Oh, monkey bread. Yes.
It's like all
I've made
sticky.
monkey bread.
Like,
Yeah, with the cinnamon and all that
yeah.
butter.
Mm,
Oh,
so
oh
good.
my God. But that's as I get older, I have to be careful about stuff like that. All that butter and sugar, because like last night, that funnel cake was deep fried in butter, and after like 3 pieces, I could feel my sugar level going up, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I felt kind of tipsy, even though I wasn't drinking. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think you know what I mean because you're not diabetic, so.
No, no, not exactly, but I've definitely eaten too much junk food and I felt crappy after.
So where, yeah. That's
like,
kinda,
oh. And then I put on like 5 pounds. I'm like, why did I eat all those jelly beans? Like,
exactly.
I'm a dummy for that. It's like it's really a discipline thing, but like I just enjoy eating it sometimes. I get the
Yeah.
munchies and I just munch out.
Well, I like to be able to enjoy different things. Like tonight, the salsa and the popcorn, I was feeling the salt. But I have to remember that it needs to be in moderation. And
Yes.
I get to where we're watching the movie and I'm just shoveling it by the handful. And after a while, all that salt in my mouth, I started feeling like that raw. The roof of my mouth started feeling
You
raw.
ate salt and vinegar chips. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's what I told my husband. I said, I think you go ahead and have the rest. I need to slow down, and just kind of drink water for a while.
I mean, it's better than shooting heroin. Like it's like everybody's kind of
Yeah.
got a vice here or there. I guess Moderation, but whatever. I mean, we live once. It's not the
Well,
worst thing.
that's the thing. I just don't want to wake up and feeling like crap tomorrow or even tonight. I don't want to, get
But
the
it's the same thing. You could eat that sugar or like drink a bunch when you're 20 or do whatever, and you wake up and you don't really feel as bad. But as you get older
right.
and you do that, it really affects you. You really do start to feel it, and you take longer to recover from it. You're like, where maybe you
I
were
was
hungover for a day, you'd be hungover for a week now from sugar or
I was
alcohol.
just about to say that if I did any of that, it would take me a month before I even thought about doing it again.
Yeah,
Back when I was 20, I
sleep.
was ready to go. Give me 3 hours of sleep. I'm ready to go again. Let's go grab
Exactly.
some hot dogs, go to the fair, ride on the zipper for a while. No problem.
You
Now
don't
I
bounce
can't
back
even.
like that when you get older. You just don't. And
Yeah, I
that's
know.
you learn that lesson the hard way by not bouncing back anymore. You're like, oh shit, I can't do that. Yeah.
You can't. You're not as bouncy when you're
Yeah,
older.
exactly.
Oh man, yeah. I I I try to enjoy things, but like I said, just in moderation now. That's all.
Awesome.
It sucks, but still, it's
It is what it is.
fun.
Makes it more fun when you do it.
Exactly. And then I have to work tomorrow, so I want to make sure I get a good night's rest tonight. Things like that. Not too much butter because I'll be up all night. Things.
You guys give away candy where you live, or is there a lot of kids where you live? Or
There might be. We could, but we don't. We just don't. We just don't want
you're one of those that
anybody.
shut off all your lights. You're one of those.
Yes, yes,
Oh, we're gonna
we
throw
are.
ice at you. Just
Well,
kidding. Just
we're
kidding.
not. You know what I mean? Like, okay, because my husband's not opt to just having people come up to our house, and we've got a fence, and we have the fences shut because the chickens were out, and when it gets dark, we just don't. I no, I don't have the energy for it anymore.
I'm just
We
teasing.
don't even. Yeah, we don't even decorate outside. We just don't like it. We just don't want the attention.
Yeah.
Go go to the mall and the kids can get their candy there, things like that. Is
Yeah.
it selfish if I said that we do have candy? We just don't pass it out.
We got
It's
candy,
all
you little brats, but we're keeping it.
we are. We've got 2 buckets of candy on the kitchen counter
I
because
just
they were
have
on
like
sale.
this image of you and Bobby in the window eating candy. These kids ring the bell and you just look at them like, nah, bitches, we
Take
got
a
the candy.
slow
We got the
bite,
candy.
a slow, deliberate bite of the Snicker bar,
Yeah,
like, oh
really
no,
slow. So
it's
good.
mine.
Yeah, never breaking eye contact.
Yes, exactly. See,
Yeah.
that's us. I got my favorite selection of Twix bars, Snicker bars, Almond Joys, and the Reese's that came out with the new kind of candy that's called Take Five. It has a pretzel in it.
Ugh.
Oh, oh no, no, it's good.
No,
It's
I
so
don't like
good.
pretzels. I hate pretzels.
I don't either. I don't
I hate
care for
pretzels.
pretzels, but
Hate.
when you stick it in a candy bar with caramel and chocolate and I don't know what the other stuff is in it. It's good.
That's like coconut and chocolate. Doesn't belong. Get out of here.
Almond joys. Mmm. It's
No.
it's just but yes, we're that cranky couple that just eats up the candy.
We
You
used to
know.
give it away, but now we moved here. No one comes here. If
Oh.
someone drove here, that would be really weird. I'd be like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like, you don't get out. Like, well, you
You're
came
lucky
all
you
the way
didn't get
here.
shot.
Yeah, weirdos.
You
It'd be
drove
weird.
you drove half a mile up my driveway.
Yeah, it would be odd. But we do go to
Oh,
town. We went to town last year, and they did, and it was a big deal. The reason it was a big deal is because for the since the kids were little, uh, and my nephew and my son were born at 2 days apart, literally. And then
Right.
my other son was 2 years after that. And then there's another one after that. So like they always they did trick or treat together, and then they would come from their city to my small city, and then their mom would come from way out of town, and then we would go to their aunt and uncle's house. It was always a big thing, and we were always together every Halloween for like 12 years, whatever it was. And then last year was the first year we didn't do that. Everybody, because we moved far away and everybody did their own separate thing. We were going to drive into that city and do it, but we're like, no, we're just going to stay here. And the kids had a great time here and got more candy than they ever got ever before. So they were like,
really?
Yeah, they got a huge haul. We hit the whole town, like the entire town. We did it like
and
a
is
grid.
it because it's a small town, they just kind of know each other and they tend to want to, be more generous with, each other's kids?
Maybe that's it. I really don't know. Like I don't have a good answer. I thought maybe we got more houses because it was a smaller town and like less distance to cover than when we're in the bigger areas.
That's
where
a good point.
It's spread out. I don't know. I don't know.
That's a great point.
And it was always slower because we had the grandma, we had the other kids, we had like 3 families all together. It was a big train. It was always slow. We never got all the houses we wanted to hit. And like me and the kids would like have a big plan because we'd be driving around. We're like, oh, yeah, we're definitely going to get this house. And because they're really decorated, you're like, for sure they're into it, right?
Yeah.
So we wouldn't always be able to do it because everyone else is slowing us down. And then in the middle of it, we got to go visit the aunt and uncle. And it was always a big drama.
And then they want to take pictures for a while.
That's right. And sit around and have coffee. And we're like, what are we doing? We want to get out of here. Like,
we got candy to get.
And the more they get, the more I get. I get a dad tax, right? I'm taking it. So.
You get a cut?
Yeah, for sure. I'm driving around. I'm protecting them from bullies. Come on, I got to have a cut here.
Yeah, right.
Part of the deal.
It's like your commission. Here's your commission.
I get 20%.
And I get to pick which ones I want. Your kids are like, Daddy, please don't take all the chocolates. Here, you can have all the sweet tarts. Yeah.
That's my favorite.
You can have the sweet tarts and the Starbursts.
The apples. You can have the apples.
Yeah. So bad.
If I see an apple, I think it's weird. Like, who gives an apple away?
Well, yeah, I remember as a kid that was kind of like not so much apples, but people did more homemade stuff like the Rice Krispie treat balls,
Yeah, which is still weird.
Yeah, I think nowadays there's less trust. So anything homemade or not in the package, people don't tend to want to even let their kids have that.
No.
I wouldn't. So
I always go through it still, like, and I know even that one kid who got poisoned, it was his own dad who did it. Like, it's not a very common thing, but I'm gonna go through the candy. If I see anything weird or suspicious, I just like, you never know. You just never know.
I picture you taking a bite out of each candy, like, I'm just quality checking this for the kids.
Not poison. No, this one's
I'm taking one for the team.
That's right. Every candy has one bite out of it. That's like that. I'm trying it all. If I live, you can have some.
That's it. Bobby used to joke, or he didn't joke. He told me the story like whenever they got seized candies. Do you guys have seized candies up there?
Seized candies?
Seized, SEE. It's like a famous candy company here where they sell like boxes of chocolates by the box. So you get a box of seized candies, and inside it's always chocolate covered variety of stuff. Sometimes it's caramel, sometimes it's nougat, sometimes it's nuts or truffles. And a lot of people don't care so much for the ones that are like raspberry filling and or uh sometimes there's coconut or it's like there's kind of like the lame flavors and then there's the really good ones.
Mm-hmm.
And he would say that his dad used to take a finger and press down on the chocolate to crack it a little bit to see
To
what's
see what it
inside.
was. Yeah.
And so you open the box and there's some candy missing and a bunch of fingerprints.
Awesome.
I would be that person. I would.
Awesome. I would
I'm the
too.
one that I take the bite, and if I don't like it, I'll put half of it back. It's terrible. I'm sorry.
When you said raspberry, I thought of like Big Turk. You ever had a Big Turk? It has that strawberry
No.
jam filling in it. It's gross. I had one when I was a kid. It was so disgusting. I didn't eat one for like 30 years. Then my wife unintentionally bought me one the other day, and I ate it just because I didn't want to be a jerk. And she's like, "You're not going to eat it?" And so I ate it. I was like, it was actually kind of good this time. I was like, I don't know why I didn't like it before.
That's what I was going to ask, if you changed your mind about it.
I kind of did. I liked it more than I didn't hate it as much as I anticipated of hating it anyway. So.
I can't stand fruit with chocolate. The only time.
Not meant to be.
No, it's not. Strawberries with dipped in chocolate, don't like it. Them oranges, you ever see them chocolate orange stuff at the store?
Chocolate oranges?
And then yes, or it's like an orange flavor in a chocolate.
Oh, I like chocolate oranges. Those ones that you whack and then they're like, oh.
Yes. Are you crazy? Are you crazy?
I love that. That's every Christmas. Everybody gets a chocolate orange here. That's a big thing. You insulted my family tradition. No, I'm just kidding. I'm all offended.
Oh God, I can't.
Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Could you hold the fort for a second?
Yeah, I'll hold down the fort. I'm just going to tell a story. I was just going to say, go ahead and go. But strawberries dipped in chocolate, I can't. I can do it, but I don't like it. Then they have the cherries dipped in chocolate, and there was those oranges, all that stuff with fruit. But there's only one that I don't mind usually getting, and they're called cordial cherries, and it's cherries in a chocolate, and it's filled with the most sugary syrup, and it's so good. I don't mind that kind of fruit in chocolate. Any other kind of fruit, no, I won't. It's either got to be caramel, nougat, or like chocolate truffle filling, but cordial cherries, I don't mind. I can do that.
My favorite chocolate is? I don't know if you get them there. They're called toffee.
Oh, yes.
It's like it's like cut in half and has hazelnut and nougat inside with caramel and chocolate. It's the greatest thing.
Oh, I thought you just meant toffee. Like toffee, Toffee.
Yes, that's the one.
Okay, the ones that we have usually are Skor bars, Skor, but I like any of those toffee. Like it's like brittle inside with chocolate. But I never saw one with nougat.
I'm gonna have to.
But that's
the one I'm talking about has like hazelnut and nougat inside with caramel and chocolate, like all in one. And it looks like it would be a ball, but it's cut in half. It's the greatest thing ever. You never had that?
No, that sounds heavenly, though. Oh my God!
The greatest chocolate ever. Yes, I get them.
Okay, you know what?
Get them at Christmas.
You send me. Yep, you send me that, and I'll send you a box of See's candies. But I promise it won't be a box with any fruit.
You'll love them. You'll get hooked on them. You'll want more. First one's free, baby. First one's free.
I was going to say I could take advantage of the rest of the holidays throughout the year. We got New Year's. Dang it, my birthday's not till fall. But you know what I mean? We'll keep trading. We'll go back to trade. We'll bring trade back.
Barter's coming.
Yeah, even though they'll all be candy.
Well, I mean, seriously, if things keep going the way they are, don't you think that bartering will come back?
I think it's going to need to for people that don't that decide not to go with the alternative,
Mm.
the Bitcoin thing. But you think it? Didn't you say in one of our conversations that there's going to be those people that just go with it
That's what I
and
think.
stay in the cities, and then there's the rest of us that are just gonna.
If we're lucky, like if that's how it breaks down and we split, yeah, I could see that happening. Who knows? Maybe
I
it'll just
think
be total chaos. Like they crash everything, and there's just violence for a while. We become a third world country kind of thing. I don't know
or
what's
maybe
going to
it'll
happen.
just be Dawn of the Dead.
Pretty much. Like who knows?
Head to the malls, barricade the doors.
That's something I wanted to talk about. Actually, is like
Is that what you had on your mind?
sort of. I I'm gonna skirt breaking one of our rules here.
Okay.
Like so this is almost a direct okay, so the person that we know, and whoever knows that we know this guy is going to know who we're talking about, but we still won't name, our
That's
guy
fine.
who had the addiction problems and broke down, blah blah blah.
Yes.
And now that person's sounding better, and it sounds like they're on the road to recovery, and that's excellent. They said
Right.
something while I heard this comeback message from them. They said something to the effect, and it's not verbatim here, so I'm paraphrasing, that living in the truth was a hard thing, and that's kind of what caused, where at least it seemed like they were saying caused them to kind of break down, was like living in the truth, and
Nah.
that could be taxing. I'm not saying that they're right or wrong. I wanted to address that in the like, if living in the so-called truth is making you feel like that, then perhaps, are you playing music?
No, Bobby just started Night of the Living Dead in the other room, but he just turned it down.
It was like it was like it was accompanying my speaking, like getting more intense.
I know, that's why I laughed. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You said ask the question again because you were kind of in and out for a second.
No, I'm just saying, like, if living in the truth is that, if it's making you feel like that, then there's something wrong there. Either the truth is not the truth you think it is, or like, what is it? Or is the cost too much, or are you too into it? It shouldn't cause you to live. It shouldn't give you a mental breakdown, is what I'm saying. Living in the truth, and
Right.
I do understand how some people get lost in that. They get lost in the rabbit holes. They become anxious by things they learn. It's hard, and I think we might have addressed this before.
Yes.
It's a dance. But in the end of it all, you really, like, that's where you need God, and to be able to give that to Him and not worry. You're here to play your role, and whatever that is, it is, and that's your fate. Like, that's what it is. But there's no reason to get anxious about that, or to stress about it, or stress about
Let it cause a mental breakdown.
right, like that there's these bad people in the government, and that there's these, maybe people are doing nefarious things, and it could all be
No.
true, and whatever, but there's not much you're going to do about it, right? And to think
Right.
that you could even change the world is naive. Like, we're not going to. If World War III is going to happen, what are me and you going to do to stop it?
Well, making a YouTube video is not the answer.
Right. No, but I know I'm being a dick, sort of, but like, we're not going to do nothing. So there's no point in worrying about it, right?
Well,
Why worry about what do you get what I'm saying, or am I I
I
don't know if I'm
do.
getting my
I
message
get what you're
across.
saying. I'm still kind of at the beginning of it. You started to kind of, this is not bad because you elaborate well, but you started with the raw question, and then now we're kind of like out in the weeds with the government thing. But I have two things to say about that. One, the particular case you're talking about is a particular case, and I don't want to talk about that because that is that whole
I know I'm
situation
certain
over
it is.
there. Yeah, it's not genuine. Okay, so but you do bring up a great uh, point and question is when you're living in the truth, when you you're different than other people because you start seeing how living through following the ways of Jesus, the things that he taught, do unto others as you would want to have done unto you, right?
But when you
So you
wake up, you
stop,
see the corruption. You see it all
right?
around you,
You
and
do,
it's
you
heavy.
do,
That's a
but
heavy
you're
load to
not.
carry.
But you are not, we are not God. And I think that's where that particular situation you're referring to went terribly wrong because I see too many people out there trying to be a prophet. They're trying to, oh, it's my job to save people. It, that's no, we are not God. And is that what you're referring to? The people trying to be the one savior? Or
Um,
do be the person that's going to save this group of people because they make YouTube videos about God and stuff like that.
um,
If
no.
I'm out in left field, tell me because I'm trying to gauge where you're trying to find your
I guess,
answer.
I guess, I like no. Yes, yes. There's people who feel like that, but
There's people
no.
who act
Like,
like
uh,
that. Maybe they don't
what-
realize they're doing it. I don't know.
that's possible. I guess what I'm more referring to is waking up. Is
Yeah.
like, and I don't mean like, I mean a real come to Jesus moment. Like when you really accept it, you really understand, he really starts to open your eyes and take the scales off, and you really start to see the filth of the world,
Yes.
the corruption. You start to see all kinds of stuff, and you start to question all kinds of things, and you could almost feel crazy by the amount of things you start questioning. And like, is it really this? Is it really that? And it could be overwhelming. It could be scary. It could be a heavy load. Not everybody
Right.
feels the same way. Most of society will think you're nuts. So that this is like, but it's part of waking up, and it's like, how do you balance that where you start to see that, but without losing yourself in it? That's what I'm talking about.
I
Does that make sense?
I don't know. Yeah, I know. I get now your point. I don't mean, and I don't want to say it to sound cold hearted, but I mean, what's a good way to say this, Clutch?
Well, why don't we just ask you personally? You've never experienced this yourself, like waking up, coming to the truth about all parts of, even talking with your husband and
Yeah.
the things he shares with you. None of that ever like overwhelms
Okay.
you and
Well,
makes you feel
then let
nervous
me.
in
Yeah.
any way.
Okay. Then what I was worried about is,
I'm not trying to give that person a pass. I'm just trying
no,
to say,
no, no,
like,
no, no. But I was going to generalize it for the group of people that wake up and they find it overwhelming. Not we're not talking about any individual anymore. We're just talking
no,
about there's this group of people over here that they come to Jesus. The Lord opens their eyes and they see the world and they realize how jacked up it is, and it's just oh
right.
my God. And then it's and I was going to kind of address that, but you know what? I think it's better if I just keep that opinion to myself, and I'll at least explain to you when not just coming to Jesus. Things kind of happened in steps. So I gave my heart to the Lord in 2009, and it was hard because seeing how because I used to be that jerk off that would make these comments and manipulate people and play the games, and I stopped doing that because I wanted to be more Christ-like. I wanted to follow, God's will and do the right thing. And it was hard to walk away from it. And then when I met my husband and I started to learn more about the lies of this world and the things that this government's doing to the elections and how freaking fake they are and everything is just like, yeah, it can be overwhelming, but I think I had personally two blessings that helped me through it. One, I was in the military, and I'm not using that as a boasting perspective, but it really helped me suck it up, freaking lace up your boots and fucking move on. What are you going to do about it? If you can't do anything about it, go do something you can do about it. It's just fight the good fight, but pick your battles, I guess, is one thing.
Small and
the
local.
Other thing, what?
Small and local.
Yes. The other thing that helped me was there's people out there that are taking this on by themselves. Okay? I had my husband. And when I had questions or when I needed support, I had my husband. And if God gave me him to help me grow. And I think he also, gave me the perfect man that I needed to become stronger and cope with it. Now, of course, the ultimate person to lean on, not person, but, ultimately we lean on God, right? He is the rock, right?
Well, it depends who you mean God is, but yes.
God, yes. And but then again, everybody that says they're a Christian or a person of faith, they all lean on God, but they forget that I think that, and I'm trying not to go into the realm of putting my opinion on other people, but I think it's easy to forget that God is there because they don't see him, feel him, hear him. What's that?
I forget and remember every day about God.
Yes.
In a weird way. I don't forget, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. I know. Because we just kind of get going on our day and we get so caught up in tunnel vision on what we need to do and what needs to get done, and then we let the stress get to us, and then when we finally start to feel like that anxiety level going up, we have to stop and sit back. And for me personally, I have to consciously make the effort to sit back, stop, and say to myself, what am I doing? What can I fix? What can I address? What can I do? And what needs to be left for God to, you know what I'm saying? Because if I try to take control of everything, which is what I used to do, that's when you have those breakdowns, is when you are trying to control too much. And
I would agree. You're just taking on too much. You're letting too much bother you at once. Like, you can't. And it can be overwhelming. Lots of this can be very overwhelming. And you're right. You had a good partner to go through it with. And not everybody has that luxury. And I don't know. I can feel how people could lose themselves in it. They kind of get.
Right.
They get, I think it's called black pilled. Or they get too. They're like, I don't know how to explain it. You're almost.
It becomes overwhelming.
Yeah, like you just don't care anymore because for the wrong reason. So,
and even there are those people that don't have, a spouse or a family, but they still handle it. Well, like I said, every situation's different. I mean, might be a person, there's people out there. I mean, I work in the funeral home business. I see people that, this is the one that kills me. When I ask them, I'm like, okay, well, your sister just died. I'm sorry. Was she married? No. Did she have adult children? No. We were the only two people left in the family, and now she's gone. My heart breaks because I cannot even imagine being the last man standing in an entire family just died off. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But funny because it never ceases to surprise me how well people, they joke and, well, once she's cremated, hopefully she's not taking up much space there, and they have these great ways of handling it where others, they'll be sitting there surrounded by 10 kids, a brother, a sister, and a mother, and they're just losing their shit on the floor of my office because her husband died, and I'm sorry, and my heart breaks for you. But you see how different people they just they sometimes their mental capacity to handle things is, I think,
Mental
programmed by the way they've grown up or the things that they have. I don't know.
People handling things for them all the time.
Yep.
When you said that person surrounded, maybe they get like too much help. Sometimes that could be a problem. It's all kinds of different combinations, and everyone handles it different. Everyone's on a different thing. I just wanted to I just wanted people to not get stressed out about waking up and that feeling, because I think a lot of people, it's almost like the stages of grief where you've got anger and acceptance and depression and bargaining. You have all those stages, and I think people go through it when they wake up, and it's hard. And I'm just letting them know it's okay, and you can't live in it 24/7, 7 days a week, and never live a normal life. That's the wrong. You're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong.
Here's a question for you. Okay, and this is another part where I want to be careful that I'm not throwing opinions on people that I don't know, but I'll use myself when I have situations where I'm looking at the news. This is why I don't watch the news anymore. It's just depressing shit. There's school shootings daily now, to the point where when you hear about a school shooting now, you're like, well, where was it? Which one was it? That's and so I ask myself, well, is it something I can help address? No. Well, what can I do? Well, I've got stuff to do. What can I do? I have a job where I love to help people, and it's something that I can do. It's something that I can make a difference with. You've got your family, you've got your kids that you can help because you homeschool them. You've got, your wife and your community that you help. It is something that you are capable of accomplishing to make a difference, right? If you sit there and you don't have anything except the crap that you're seeing on the news, and you're feeling helpless because there's nothing you can do to make a difference because it's the president or it's the dictator that's ruining everything, and you're doing nothing else but sitting there watching this, feeling like you can't make a difference. Of course, you have no purpose.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? It's if you have nothing to make yourself feel like you have a purpose, of course you're going to be like.
Let's take this back all the way to winter of last year when we were on that person's. A lot of us talked in that chat room, and we would discuss faith and works. So that's works. You need that purpose. It doesn't mean that those works are getting you into heaven. It doesn't have to mean that. Those works it helps focus your mind. It makes you a better person. It makes you a better ambassador of God. It helps you understand God better. It's it's something to do to cultivate yourself as well as others. So it's an
Yep.
important aspect of faith. It's a balance. I really love that yin yang symbol. People will be like, "Oh, you're so evil," but there's a lot of truth in that symbol where there's like a little bit of everything in on each side, and you need
Yep.
that balance. It's all about balance, and
Well,
that's
and
the thing. There's my
and
ramble.
here's what I find ironic about people that argue against works. You know, they talk about, in one breath they're like, well, it's not about the works, it's, this, and but then in the next breath they talk about, dear heavenly Father, use me as a tool for your plan, for
Exactly,
your purpose.
exactly.
Well,
That's
isn't
right.
that
That's
works?
the
I
work.
mean,
That's the work.
you that's right. And it
But
works.
you don't go out
Works
and do it.
isn't
It's
just
like that. Yes, exactly. It's like the story of like the guy stuck on the roof and a boat comes and a helicopter, nothing ever
yes,
happens. It's the same thing. It's that story all over again. Yes, you have to like want to be used by God, but you actually have to go and do it when it's time to do it.
right,
When we were talking about my son helping the guy with the wood and all that, that's not that's like kind of not saying that we get into heaven like that, but that's picking up a sign from God, maybe as obvious as it is, that someone needs help. There's an opportunity for you to help. Go help.
right. But
Right?
it's not just,
Does that
and
make sense?
when it makes perfect sense. In fact, I'm going to piggyback on that, because who's to say that the whole purpose of that opportunity for your son was for the man that he helped and not also your son? Because I noticed with my son, whenever he had the opportunity to help, he helped this neighbor. They had like a ton of boxes accidentally delivered to our house instead of the house next door. And he texts me and he's like, "Mom, there's like 6 boxes in front of the house and it's for this lady, the lady next door." And I said, "Well, go knock on the door and find out, if they ordered something." And he did, and she's an older lady, and he ends up like offering to help bring the boxes over, not realizing that they weighed like 80 pounds each.
Oh man.
And he was all like kind of missed, because he was just like, "Oh God, what did I sign up for?" But
Yeah.
you know what though? I mean, he afterwards I told him, I said, "Don't be mad." And he said, "You know what? I'm not mad." He said she was really happy. It was really nice. He learned a little bit of lesson in, you know, kindness. I don't know how else to say it. He learned something, and he wasn't mad about it, but at the same time he's just kind of like,
Well, you
okay,
could
well, I
be a
guess
little
I'm the
put
only one
off,
doing this.
and it's a little grumpy about it, but you're still helping, and that's all
Right.
fine. But
And it
yeah,
helped him grow. It helped him
yeah.
grow.
Oh,
And,
I don't know why people don't understand that whole argument. Like it seems pretty simple. Like
it benefits everybody, though.
it,
Everybody involved.
and yes, everyone involved, yourself included. So I don't
Yeah.
know. Every
I,
every
I,
if we're
I don't, I
seeds,
don't, I never
we
did find any purpose in that argument. Whenever I see people talking about it, it's like, why,
because they don't want to do anything. That's why
yeah,
they
it's
just want
true.
to sit in front of the computer and they just want to say they just want to talk. They don't.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything, and then they call you out on when you're trying to do things and you're trying to learn and like frick, it's just so aggravating. They're
It's
just aggravating.
more, it seems more like where we heard it from, you and I. We heard it from a place where somebody just needed validation. When you've got nothing else going on, you need validation. And I think that's another part of when you have, I'm not going to say a job, because not everybody has a job. There are people that are retired, but they've done their thing. And when
Oh
you
no.
go out and you know what I mean, like help people. What are you laughing
Yeah.
at?
When you said there's people who are retired, I don't know why I thought you were going to say there's people that are retarded. I don't know why.
Well, that takes a lot of work too, because I guess, the Lord giveth and Lord taketh away. But whenever you do something that you try to do that's selfless, you still, in a way, I think God's reward is that validation. It's something that helps a person grow. But you do feel good about yourself, and that maybe that's God's little way of saying, good job.
Maybe you want to do it again.
Yes.
Keep doing it. Yeah, and then you build some confidence, and you feel good about yourself, and you feel good about helping others. What's wrong with that?
There is nothing wrong with that. That is, I think, how the beauty of it works. And
what's wrong? And when I say small and local, I mean that. Keep it small. Work within your community. Within your community. Don't even worry about anything else that's happening outside of that. Just focus there, and that's where you'll see the most effect of your labor. You'll see it there. And if you can help your community grow and flourish, that will spread to the next community, and that's how things can change. And that's how you can make a big change, being one person. But everything, you can't. It has to be small, has to be local. And that's
you're talking about the ripple effect.
Beast. You don't want to draw the attention of the beast. And I say the beast, and I'm kind of being serious in a way. Like, you don't want to draw the attention of the system, whatever you call that. I call it the beast.
The beast. Yeah, I agree. I think
the eye of Sauron. You don't want that eye looking at you, right? So you keep under the radar. I'm being serious. You keep under the radar. You keep it small. You keep it local. It's not a lot of money or any of that. You never try to affect the system's money. Don't ever mess with that. And usually they'll leave you alone. Yeah. And you can have change. You can affect change, but
and you have to do it. You just sparked an idea. Like, you were talking about what I refer to as the ripple effect, right? You start small, in your own little group, your family, and then your neighbor, and then your community, and then pretty soon the community to the other communities, and then more communities. By the time it is something big enough to attract attention, your group is way too big for them to.
It's also leaderless. It's also leaderless. There is no one center. Never centralize. Never centralize your authority. That's a problem.
I agree, actually. But
we're talking revolutionary ideas here, but really, we're just telling you. But really, we're just telling you, grow a garden and help your community. And isn't that crazy thought to think that's a revolutionary idea?
Yeah. In fact, that was one of the questions I had asked when, we had talked about folks that, their whole world is YouTube, and that's what they feel is their community. It's like, well, what about putting that phone down?
Not a community. It's not.
No. What about putting that cell phone down? Yeah. Put the cell phone down, walk down the street. I'm sure in certain areas, like I know here in Reno, I could walk less than a block from my office and find at least 2 people that are in need. I mean, it's just there. I'm not just talking about like transient people. I'm talking about somebody's just having a bad day at the cash register. There's nothing specific. You don't know what you could do until you get out there, but you're not going to find out if you're sitting on your recliner
in front of your fake community.
Oh, your virtual community.
Yeah, it's messed up. It's an illusion. Everything's all that online stuff is an illusion. That's why I'll never go onto that meta stuff. I'm never going to be part. It's an illusion. Don't get caught up in that.
No, and I've seen a coworker. This was back in 2016. She took her niece into her home, and Wi-Fi went down. And her niece literally lost her mind. Lost her freaking mind because without Wi-Fi, she couldn't get on Facebook. And something about her Facebook, she had to have it. And she walked like 3 miles to some place. I don't remember if it was a restaurant or the library or something that had Wi-Fi for free. And she
How
sat
crazy
there
is
all
that?
day.
How crazy is that? Your community
That
is your
that
backyard.
to me is insanity. That's
But
an
do you,
addiction.
I I see some nefariousness behind that. I think the powers that be might know that social media does that. And maybe they don't want you making a garden and helping your neighbor.
Yeah?
Maybe they don't want you to be forming communities because communities have power. A moral community won't accept corrupt leaders, nor will God give you a corrupt leader if you're a moral community. So that's kind of why they do that. That's the part of the whole game.
Yeah.
So I know we're on here doing the same thing, but I'm not trying to form an online community. I don't really care if 100 people listen to this or one person or nobody.
Well,
I'm just
we
saying my
also
piece.
turn these off. Like we don't do this every day, and we don't actually even do this every week. Some weeks you have your family stuff going on, and that's the difference. Is that we have family stuff, we have work, we have stuff around our homes, our responsibilities that we address first.
Yeah.
And this YouTube thing, like I said,
It's
the,
just
the
and
the
it's
point
just a nice
is
way to talk, really. For me and you, we can it's an easy way. It's like having a phone call. And then like people are just being weirdos and listening to us talk on our phone call. Hello? Are you there? Hello? Uh-oh.
that stupid delay
You're
on this
muted.
tablet is killing me.
There you are.
No, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Because I accidentally hit that stupid mute on the screen. And you remember how I said this tablet has that stupid delay?
Yeah. No
I,
worries,
I
no
was
worries.
sitting there hitting it again and again, like, please unmute, unmute. Anyways,
Did you hear what I said?
yes, I heard everything. It was just that I was muted. So I was saying, you got it, you're right, and then you were like, hello.
Hello? Anybody there?
Well, I think another good point to what, and I'm going to piggyback on what you said again.
Never.
If we don't give them what?
Yeah. I just said give her, eh?
Oh yes, it's that Canadian A that got me. If we can function independently, they can't hold anything over us. They wield no dictatorship or power over us. But that's what they're afraid of, is for people to have that independence.
Absolutely. They're afraid of moral, strong communities. That's what they're afraid of.
And the only thing they have going for them right now is the slow convergence over to, brain threads or microchipping, so that if they needed to shut the power off or the water off on us, they could. I know that was a weird way to go, but
no,
do you see what I'm saying with that?
Absolutely what they want. They want to totally be able to control you in every way. And if you're not a proper citizen, we're going to shut your water off. You're not going to travel. You're not going to eat. You're not going to have entertainment. Absolutely. And everybody is their community will be online, where people are millions of miles apart. They're not a real community, and they affect no change and have no power.
Oh, you mentioned travel. I don't know if I mentioned this to you. I had to fly back from Utah when I helped young Proto Hunter move, right?
Yeah.
And well, first of all, the airport was a nightmare. I never want to fly again. I can't stand it. The process, everywhere you looked, there were TV screens hanging from the ceiling, and there was a repetitive looped video. Welcome to Salt Lake City National Airport. Please step up to the line. You will find your assigned bin in the shelf below. Take the bin out and remove your shoes. Once you remove your shoes, remove any other metal objects on your body. And it's just like, it was so, dude, it was so Orwellian. It was. I was like,
experience shopping, of all things, when the Rona effect was really hard here. And we were only allowed certain, like, I don't know, maybe for you guys too, but you could only have like 10 people in the store at one time.
Yes.
Yeah, and everybody had to be masked up, and then
everybody
there would be like
was sitting outside 6 feet apart along the sidewalk in the rain.
But inside the store, there would be like, we care about your safety. Please do blah, blah, blah. And like, it was just very dystopian.
Yes. And that was what it was like once I walked in there. I was shocked because Utah, of all the U.S. states, there was a lot of people there that were very against it, you know what I mean? But, the international airport, they got to do it. And the other thing was the sign. I should have taken a picture. It was a sign that said, starting May 3rd, 2023, real ID will be required. Real ID, quote unquote. And I was looking at this sign and I'm like, what's real ID? No, it's not talking about an original documentation. It's talking about a new kind of identification that you can only get when you go down to the Department of Motor Vehicles or wherever you get your identification from. If here in the States, we get it from the DMV, right?
Yeah.
You have to bring, I guess, a list of at least 6 items or more. I forgot what it said. It was all things that you would have to establish. You have a social security number, that you are not part of this, and then you have to establish your residence with proof of your residency, like a power bill or a water bill. And you had to have a list of these 6 things. And then they will issue you a new ID, a new identification that looks like your driver's license, but it's going to have a little mark on it. And it's a little gold star up in the corner. And if you don't have that, you cannot fly. I know.
Gold
I
star,
wish,
that's interesting. It's interesting it's a gold star.
Isn't it? I wish I had, oh man, I wish I had taken a picture of this sign, because
I thought you were going to say, thought you were going to go digital ID, but our IDs are like that too now. Our license, like, it has like a little scan bar on it now where they can scan it, and I guess other stuff comes. I don't know what exactly. Yeah, I don't know what's attached to it at all, but
same concept. I almost want to say that one of the requirements was like a fingerprint thing that you had to submit. I can't remember. I just remember I was already overwhelmed being at the airport. I was overwhelmed, leaving my son. I was like the mama complex, and then I'm seeing this. First of all, I had already been standing in line for 40 minutes like cattle, and there's all these people around me, and oh God. And then I see the sign, and I'm like, what? I'm looking at this sign, and I'm just making these noises out loud, like, what the fuck? Yeah.
That's a federal thing, I guess.
Yeah. It was a new, attention right at the top. Attention. Starting May 3rd, 2023. And
I don't know if I'm ever going to fly again, dude. I really don't. Like, I don't even know if I'm going to travel very far anymore. That's probably what they want, but I mean, I don't really need to, so.
That's what I was thinking too. Maybe they're cutting the travel to, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's one restriction after another. Yeah.
Good times. But
and then we had the TSA. oh my God, I watched this woman strip down, and I started looking around, and I was like, are we at a titty bar? What's she doing? And
Every time I ever go through, I get hassled. They're like, hey, random check. And it's always like, what? Like, it feels like every time it's me, I'm the random check, but I don't know,
really?
whatever. Yeah, I
They
guess.
wanted me to. They wanted me to stand in the big, the tube. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I
There's
think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Like, and it
there's
detects
this
like bomb
tube.
residue or something.
Yeah, you have to stand in it with your arms up, and then the thing spins around you to like basically X-ray you or something. They're like, oh, it's harmless. It's just ultrasound. And I said,
When
I
we
don't
went,
care. No,
when
I'm
we
not.
went
I'm
to
not doing it.
Vegas, we had, and this was really weird. We had Homeland Security, like your Homeland Security dudes here. And
Really?
yeah, and they like screened me, and I was wearing it was just a stupid like radio show that I was listening to on Sirius, and it was like some of their merch that I had, but it kind of looked almost like a biker gang. Like it had like a
Really?
symbol in the middle, and it kind of had a bottom rocker. And
Yeah.
but it wasn't a gang. It was really just a, I guess, a fan club, for lack of a better word.
Yeah. It's just a patch
But they were like
from.
really interested in it, and they questioned me. They took me aside and like questioned me about it, and I told them what it was, and they're like, then they pretended that they knew what it was and that they liked that radio show. I was like, okay,
Really?
whatever. It was really weird, dude. Like really weird. And that was leaving here. Coming back, I had no problems. But yeah, like that was in our airport here in Canada, and that's what they called themselves, Homeland Security. So I assumed they
I
were
was
like
gonna say it's
your
really weird
dudes.
that Homeland Security was not even in our homeland.
Yeah, it was odd. It was a really weird thing, but yeah, they went through, and
Huh.
then they did something to my suitcase too. They like, I maybe they put it in something. I can't remember. They either put it in something or they ran something around it. They were like detecting something. I don't know, residue or what. I don't know what they were looking for.
Wow.
But nothing happened. Of course, I'm not doing anything nefarious, so they let me go, and there was no problems. But yeah, I just
They
remember
can.
it was just weird. I was like, what the heck happened? Like after it happened, I was like, hold on. Like I was like kind of like scratching my head, like what? Like it was like what?
Did anybody else think that was strange?
Yeah. I'm like, why me? Why am I the random guy? Like they always say random, but
Well,
you're random.
if it makes you feel better, I actually turned around and asked this family behind me when, like I said, when this woman was stripping down. I actually turned around and I asked this family, I was like, is this appropriate or is anybody else seeing this? And the
Yeah,
lady
like
kind of laughed. It was a lady that was my age that kind of laughed, and her husband just kind of was like trying to look somewhere else because it was getting weird. You know, you
yeah,
have
I've heard
people
your
getting
CSA
naked.
agents are can be pretty aggressive.
Yeah. And and what I thought was, I don't know. It wasn't I just I just found it surreal, I guess is a good word, is
Mm.
watching how, well trained everybody was with the TV
And
screens giving
accepting it.
directions. Yes,
Yeah.
the TVs up on the ceilings talking about, take your bin from the bottom shelf, put it on the rollers, remove your shoes and it goes through the whole step. So by the time they all got up to the counter, everybody was doing exactly that. They were grabbing two bins from the bottom or, one, and the first thing came off was shoes, cell phone and keys, and everything went into the separate bin like they were told. Jacket, bags. Bags can be placed directly on the rollers. Only small items and small articles of clothing should go in the bin. And everybody was doing exactly what was shown on television. And then they went through, and everybody was having a great time, and they were smiling. And
I
then
remember
I
watching
got up
this.
there, and I know I felt like a bitch. I'm so sorry for saying that, but I did. the lady approached me and said something about, going in the, I said no. I said no, I can't. And she said something like, it's safe, it's just an ultrasound. And I said, that's great. What's my alternative? And she said, well, we would have to pat you down with a wand. And I said, that's fine. Yeah, put my arms out. I said, pat on. And I thought it was funny because she looked like Pat. She was of the LGBTQ LMNOP community. And,
Yeah.
I was like, as long as it doesn't ensue any fondling, I don't care,
Yeah.
So she pat me down and, she was nice. She was like, thank you. And I'm like, you're welcome. Thank you. And I just get me home.
I watched this video on YouTube about, like, I guess it's like just how people respond and how easy it is to get them to do things. And one of the experiments is like, I guess they're waiting in like a waiting room, and everybody
is this the one with the whistling or the beep or something, and they all stand up?
Yeah, you know.
Yes.
One. And then by the time, like, all the original people left, and it's just the new people, and they're doing it without, they were never told to do it. They're all doing it though.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So I know what you're talking about. They start with like 4 people in a waiting room, right? Yeah. And the 4 people in the waiting room are in on the experiment. So every time the beep goes off, they all stand up, right?
Right, exactly.
And then they bring in this one person who is not part of the experiment. They're just in the waiting room. And then when they see the other 4 stand up at the beep, they automatically just stand up. And then, then eventually the 4 original people, part of the experiment, are called away. And then new people come in and they see everybody standing up at the beep until nobody from the original experiment is left. Only people that were introduced but were never explained. They were never told why they have to stand. They just did it because they saw the first 4 do it, right?
That's right.
Pretty soon we have a room of people standing up every time a beep goes off and no idea why they're doing it, but they just do it.
So it's easy ridiculous. To train people, right? I guess that's the point I'm making. Like, people are very pliable.
Well, didn't they say that experiment started with monkeys? There was like, okay, so I think if I read this right, there were some monkeys that were placed in a cage with bananas at the top of a pole. But every time the first 4 monkeys tried to reach the bananas, they got, was it shot with some water or something that basically was...
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. And they didn't want the other monkey to get the banana. They would be angry, right?
Yes. They stopped shooting the water, but every time a new monkey came in and tried to get the bananas, the original ones would stop them.
That's right.
Yeah, and the new monkeys didn't know why, but they just knew that they couldn't, they're not supposed to get the bananas.
Weird.
No, that's people, dude. I don't mean to say it like in a disgusting manner, but
no,
you've seen it in action when these mandates came out.
Yeah, exactly.
People ended up policing each other. That nobody else had to. You could be sitting alone at a bus
here
stop.
to rat your neighbors out.
Exactly.
It got bad here where, like, you were not even, they were controlling how many people you were allowed to have in your own house.
Yes. And they controlled Thanksgiving and even the hospitals when somebody was dying.
Some people, I won't say who, but I'm just going to say, like, not everybody followed those. Some people still met for the holidays. Some people still broke the rules and did it. And those people are legends.
They were amazing.
The whole world was against them, and they fought back against that, and they didn't give in to that pressure. Those people must be committed to their beliefs.
It's crazy, isn't it?
I like it. But
they were rebels. They were patriots.
Hit the road here. That's right, they are. Whoever they are. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know them.
Yeah, yeah. I don't even know like what we can and can't say at this point.
I'm not admitting to anything.
We're not giving any advice. We're not.
Right. But I got to roll. It's 9, almost 10 o'clock here. So,
Okay. No, that
awesome.
works. It is about time to start another movie.
I'm going to send you some series off YouTube about The Shining if you want to watch them. They're like 20 minutes, half hour little things about it. Especially the Wendy Theory.
Fine. I love it when somebody says, just sending you this, I find it very interesting. And it's like a 2-hour video. I'm like, dude, what do you think I do with my day? I know. I'm like, oh my God.
That's why I don't send people stuff all the time. Like, if I do, it's usually something short. I try to keep them short.
No,
I know
fine.
people don't have time for that.
That one video you sent about that guy that used to be the Hells Angels president, boy, both my husband and I watched that thing. It was very interesting, and he even knew a lot of the stuff because he's like, oh yeah, I read a book about that. He has books about it. Yeah. It was crazy. So yeah, send me that stuff. You know what I want for Christmas now? That little desserty treat.
I'm gonna send you a giant box. There's a big box that has 2 layers of it. I'm gonna send you that.
Oh my God! I'm not gonna say no.
You're gonna love them. You're gonna.
But
love
I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to introduce you to C's Candies, and
never
I already got. Never had that. Well, you gonna find out. I'm gonna pick the good ones for you.
Nice. Yeah, are you gonna put your finger in each one?
I was gonna say that. I was gonna say it. If you find little fingerprints in them,
I'll know. I'll know it's a good one.
Give those to the kids.
Okay.
I didn't have a joke.
Me neither.
I'm sorry. Well, maybe the candy thing was a joke.
Good enough. Good enough. Awesome. Okay,
all right,
dude.
brother.
Take care.
Have a good night and tell everybody in your family I said hi and have a good holiday.
I'll send you a picture of them in their costumes.
Oh, yes, you pagan. There you go. There's the joke, the pagan joke.
Awesome.
All right, man.
Good night.
Night. This thing doesn't end.